Call the meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Madam Mayor, Councilor Zafiri, Councilor Schmidt, Councilor O'Grady, Councilor Barazic, Councilor Franco, Councilor Key, and Mayor Grant. So absent is Parker and Atwater.
Yes, Councilor Atwater is out of town, and he did notify the council and the clerk, and Councilor Parker will be delayed. She is with her daughter on a college interview, so she will get here by 8, she said. Thank you. And could we please rise for salute to the flag? Would Mr. Flax please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, tonight we have a public hearing. So at this point, we're going to recess the town council meeting and go into a public hearing on the ordinance amending various ordinances to increase fines 2018-0021.
Okay, notice of the public hearing, February 6, 2018. Notice is hereby given that the public hearing will be held by the Town Council on February 6, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. in the Community Room 1 at Town Hall Annex 134, Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, on the ordinance to amend sections 1-7, 7-31, 10-101, 10-140, 10-184, 10-156, and 11-81 of the Code of Ordinances. The proposed ordinances would increase the fees and fines set by the selection listed above. The full text of the proposed ordinance is on file in the town clerk's office and on the town website, and this was dated Groton, Connecticut, this 30th day of January 2018, and by me in the New London Day and at our website.
Are there any speakers to address the public hearing on the ordinances? All righty. There are no speakers? Seeing none, we will recess the public hearing. Yes?
Unless there's something you want to say about it.
Would any of the councilors like to speak on the public hearing? I think we spoke on this when we were in the committee of the whole. Councilor Zepari.
I have spoken on this before.
Yes.
On one issue, I think that we should not have a very restrictive time period for people to pay their fines. I think it's still in here that they have to pay within 7 days. They can pay a double fine if they pay at 14 days. I think people can be on their way out of town. There are a lot of reasons why they can't get to pay within 7 days. And I don't think this should be a draconian measure. I think we should give them a chance to pay with a reasonable amount of time. So I'm opposed to that part of this resolution. In addition, I'm opposed to the restriction of livery traffic on specific streets. We're trying to encourage, I know some of these streets, for instance, Gravel Street is large enough to accommodate livery vehicles. High Street, I don't know High Street Noank, but High Street in Mystic is, the Military Highway is large enough to accommodate livery vehicles. I'm not sure that this isn't just an effort on the part of some people to keep livery vehicles off of their streets and not have folks coming around as tourists and looking in. But these are public streets. We are trying to encourage tourism in our community. I think that this measure should not go forward. If there are streets that are genuinely too narrow to accommodate these vehicles, then they're too narrow to accommodate a school bus. I just think that this is not a good direction for Groton to go.
Thank you. I think the town manager wanted to address this.
I was just going to mention on the length of time, Chief Fusaro has been working with the, I don't know if we need to address it today, but Chief Fusaro has worked with the attorney at those dates and extending those dates. And I think once we discuss as a when the council discusses it, you'll have some updated language to review. So we agree that the length of time should be extended.
Okay. And then my point about the streets, the measure of limiting livery traffic on streets, but allowing other traffic on those streets, I don't think it's in the best interest of the town to have specific streets that are public streets designated in some way less public than others.
And I don't have an opinion at this point on that. That's existing language. That's nothing we're looking at changing. So I haven't even looked at that, so.
And we'll have a chance to discuss this again
Right,
before this would come
right.
to a final vote. So that's something that could be looked into. Councilor Oberg?
The other thing that was discussed was having the tickets changed so that they came attached to an envelope that could be mailed back. Have you looked into doing that?
We can address that. Yeah, we currently have that. The only thing we've been waiting for is a change, potentially a change in the fees so we can have new tickets printed. We've been kind of waiting on that for this process to complete itself. So that's what we have currently, and we'll have it in the future.
Okay, so when this does come to be, that would make it that much easier for somebody to pay their fine.
Right, it will come with an envelope. We've got, as the town manager said, we've come up with some proposed language that I've shared with him, and maybe can discuss that again at a future time if we so choose.
Anything else? All right, so then we will close the public hearing. And reconvene the town council meeting. This is the portion of the council agenda where the council welcomes comments from, thank you, from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Town councilors will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and can respond during the responses to citizens' petition portion of the town council meeting. Citizens should make their presentations from the lectern and state their name and addresses for the record. And we have 3 speakers. And the first is Bruce Flax.
Thank you, Mayor. Bruce Flax, 632 No Ink Road. I'm here tonight to comment on a few items. The first is an item on your agenda tonight, 2016-0090 City Public Works Budget. I post the agendas on a Facebook page, so I read the agendas, and hopefully others do as well. I saw that you were voting tonight to release the 2017 City Public Works funds back to the city. The last reference of a council discussion in the meeting, in the agenda for tonight, was December 12, 2017, and it says recommended for a resolution. I went back to the December 12, 2017 minutes and didn't find any reference to this. So it was a little bit disturbing to me that this is the first time it's being talked about in front of the camera. Seeing as tonight is the first public discussion as the same day as the vote, I wanted the current council, to understand why the money was withheld by the prior council. Prior councils tried to determine what was actually needed to maintain the roads in the city, and we thought the city spent too much, and the city thought they were providing what they needed to do the proper job. An arbitrator had found for the city twice. In 2017, we met with the last arbitrator, and she strongly suggested that we hire an independent person to go through the public works budgets for the city and the town to see how money is spent, to see the standards used, etc. Our intent was to see the report first and then decide about the money. And basically, we're looking for somebody, an unbiased opinion, to look at how the city spends their money on public works and how the town spends their money on public works, and tells us if we're both right on the money or if one of us isn't spending enough or spending too much, and then make a determination of the 2017 money that was withheld based on what the arbitrator said. Once you release that money tonight, it's gone. It's another year gone where the entire town taxpayers, including the city, potentially are taking it on the chin. I ask you to please reconsider and have a discussion about releasing that money. Show the voters that you're governing for the whole town, not the city first. I can only wonder if perhaps the discussion that you were talking about tonight was held in caucus. I don't know. It was off camera. There was never a discussion in front of the camera that I saw. But interestingly enough, this research for this subject brought me to the December 12th cow minutes, because that's what was referenced on the tonight's agenda as the last time it was discussed. And in reading about and trying to find this reference, while reading the minutes, I noticed that Councilor Heed had made a motion to strike something that I had said at a November 14th meeting. I went back and watched the video meeting to see what it was all about. Councilor Heed wanted to strike the statement, quote, efforts made by Senator Summers have restored funding to Groton, unquote. He said he thought politics should stay out of the council meeting minutes. There was a discussion and the motion passed to strike it from the meeting 5-4. He was asked by another councilor if those were the words that I used, and Councilor Heed confirmed that was what I said. I just find it disturbing that Councilor Heed and the majority of this council want to strike what was actually spoken. From the record, how would any of you feel if someone wanted to change what you said? Okay, you may not agree with the words, but they're the words that were actually spoken. Are we to expect a revisionist council when they dictate what you want people to read? A few questions. Are you going to go through the meeting minutes of every meeting in the last couple of years and see where you don't agree or where you don't think it's correct and correct it? So, or are you just picking one meeting? And I think everyone, at least the 5 people who voted for this, need to ask themselves if this is what they were voted into office to do, to make sure meeting minutes are not political. There is heavy lifting to be done. The budget's not easy. I hope your attention is on the important things and you stay away from the very things you accuse me of, being political. I appreciate all of you coming forth and doing your civic duty to serve Groton. I just hope your motives are all in the right place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flax. Roseanne Katowski.
Good evening. Roseanne Katowski, 24 Ann Avenue, Mystic, Connecticut. Tonight I would like to talk about the Board of Education public hearing on the budget last week that was in the paper that no one seemed to know about. And I didn't know about it. My fault. I wasn't paying attention. I should have gone to this meeting because this year I am going to be advocating for the minimum budget requirement for the Board of Education budget. After an 8.7% tax increase last year, the Groton taxpayers cannot take anymore. We can only spend what we can afford. And the taxpayers cannot afford to spend any more money on the Groton Public Schools considering the tax increase that is coming with the $185,500,000 school project coming online and into our tax bills. You would think that the Board of Ed would be more respectful of the taxpayers considering we're going to be hit hard with the school project. The only thing we can do is advocate for the minimum budget requirement for the Board of Education. So I urge the Town Council this year to support the minimum budget requirement for the Board of Education budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Dean Antipas.
I'm going to time myself.
6:45. Go.
You're free to time me too. All right. Because I'm known to be prolix. Dean Antipas, 164 Payer Lane. I have one thing to talk about, and I wouldn't have bothered to come. My wife has a steak on a plate for me at home, one of the privileges of having lost. But it has to do with what Bruce mentioned before, which is the amendment of the minutes. I have to say that I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm not sure that I've seen a council go back to its own minutes very far to correct wordings. There have been some controversies here and there. But to go back to a prior council to do that, and I remember what was said. It was said. It's not a question of was it or wasn't it said. It was said. The purpose of minutes is not to be a transcript. The purpose of minutes is to basically be notes about what took place at the meeting. But it literally was said. And I can appreciate that maybe the counselors here would like to have had our 2 representatives also mentioned in this statement. To be honest, I can't remember whether it was an off-the-cuff remark or merely an observation on the part of the then mayor that he felt that Senator Summers was the one that did the lion's work, whatever. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I can certainly remember other people having other opinions, but it was said. Now, it strikes me as interesting. When I was on the council, we barely had enough time to do things. So either, again, you're going to go back and scrub this and other things to meet your standards about what is appropriate or not appropriate in the minutes, even though it was actually said, and then you have time to do that and to polish the brass and the door handles and all of that. Or, to be honest with you, you're going to do what I'm concerned you're going to do, now that all 9 of you are Democrats. And I said this when I was on the council before. I wished, as a chair, that I could command the attention and the agenda of the 8 Republicans on the prior council. That's me wearing the chairman's hat. I could never do that. It never happened, and it's not good for the town anyway. I tried to wear the counselor hat, and I think that I did. But this really looks like either you have too much time on your hands, or it is a direct attempt in a re-election year, when Senator Summers is looking to get re-elected, to basically expunge her name. And it's not so much about her, it's really the principle of the thing. It really does walk and talk like something partisan. And it's moved by, I understand, the chairman of the Democratic Party, I'm sorry. And that's really my objection to it. I wouldn't have bothered to come out except I consider it rather outrageous that this passed. I'm glad to see it was 5-4 and there wasn't unanimity. Keep that up. But really, this sort of thing, we're going to be watching now. I wasn't watching before. I was alerted to it. It's just distasteful. It's going to be seen for what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it that have signed up. Is there anyone else here who would like to address? Representative Bordelon is here.
Good evening. Portia Bordelon, 159 Chenecasset Parkway. I just would like to say, with the upcoming budget, as I've been attending the Board of Ed meetings, I just encourage the council to really look at all the line items and all the function codes underneath. Boy, is it interesting. There's so much that you can dig out and see. As I understand, we have to give an annual living cost with any type of business or job with people, insurance, et cetera. When you're looking, though, at this, and I hope you guys get a copy soon so you can see it beforehand, the amount that they're paying insurance is more than we're actually using to educate our children. For some reason, I find that to be very difficult in this district. I don't know if it's poor planning or how we're investing that money or if there is an investment. Other districts seem to have a different method. I just encourage you to look through it. There's a lot of things like travel costs for conferences, $52,000 discrepancies and numbers everywhere. They keep talking about the hanging fruits. There's nothing else to grab. The things that I want to see stay are directly impacting our students, the teachers, the paras, the remedial support. What I do not want to see is those items taken away. Things like conferences to, Texas and different areas around where they're being fully funded, we can maybe do webinars or find other ways and other avenues to fund those things. Other districts have cut those items. That's my biggest concern, is really taking the time to look at every item on there. I'm all for funding education. I just want to make sure the proper funding is going to the right aspects of education, not funding these other, they're digging through it and asking questions, and we'll get back to you on that one. Function code this. Maintenance is sprawled out throughout the whole budget, so you can't find half the items. It's, well, the snow removal is under that function, this is under that. So believe me, it's going to take some time to go through it. I'm finding it extremely difficult, and it's actually, it seems almost cryptid in some aspects. So I just encourage that you really take the time and look. When they say what they're cutting, ask further questions like, okay, line item 6, whatever, or that. What is under it in its entirety? It's not just what's on there. And I feel that there are things that can still be cut that will not directly impact our students on the ground level. The last meeting that I attended, they were looking into, one of the Board of Ed members asked for information regarding the admin office. So far, the recommendations that they have given had no cuts to central office. They tossed around cuts of teachers and other avenues, but nothing from the administration up at the top level that's not directly impacting the students. So those are the questions that I have, and I just, I know the power is going to come to you guys eventually, and just hope that you guys take a hard look at that and, do what's right, obviously, but also, fund our education in its entirety so that we stand out and make Groton, a great place to live, but holding accountability to the areas of concern. So money is distributed, evenly throughout the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens who'd like to speak? Okay, thank you very much. At this point, we have, the council is enabled to respond to citizens' petitions, comments, and concern. Are there any councilors that would like to address any of these things? We'll start on this end. Yes, Councilor Zepari?
Two people spoke about taxes, Portia, and I'm sorry I didn't get the name of the, yes. What is it?
Roseanne Katowski.
Roseanne Katowski. Okay. I am very sympathetic to what you said, and I would appreciate your being specific about advising us, as you've studied these issues, specifically tell us where you feel there should be cuts. I will listen, and if I agree, I will present your ideas to the council when we're dealing with those things. But I would like very specific lines, and I would like to look at that.
Councilor Aubrey?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the approval of the minutes that we did, I felt was very unusual because they weren't our minutes. It was the minutes of the last council's last meeting, and I questioned that at the time. How did we know if they were right or they were wrong? Because we weren't part of that. So I appreciate your comments, and I think that maybe in the future there needs to be something a little differently worked out if you have a transfer, because it just didn't make sense. So I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
I just wanted to respond to, and I've heard this from other people as well, regarding the Board of Ed meeting and that no one knew about it. It was posted, and it was posted on the town website, and like Mr. Flax, I also post the weekly meeting calendar on Facebook, and the Monday meeting was posted, the Tuesday meeting for the board was posted, so everything is out there and available for you to see. So thank you very much for those who came out to speak. All right, we are on item 6. I can put my iPad away now that I found that. We are on item 6, consent calendar. So approval of minutes, item 2018-0023. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, excuse me.
Typically, consent calendars, everything under consent, you don't go line by line, but if you have...
We have certain things in the deletions that we need to address tonight, so...
I'm sorry?
We have certain items in the deletion list that we do not want deleted.
Oh,
so we want to take it
Okay.
individually this time. Normally, if everything is fine, we
Right,
move everything
right.
at once. Thank you.
Right.
So approval of minutes 2018-0023. So moved by Zepari. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Moravsik. Any discussion on acceptance of the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us at this point. The administrative items, acceptance of special trust fund contributions, 2018-0011. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Zepari. Any discussion? Councilor Aubrey?
I just wanted to thank whomever put the list together for the addition of the Groton Rotary donation. It had not been on the last list. And
Yeah, Lisa Hilton
yeah,
is
and
expert
it
on
was a
that.
pretty substantial one, so I wanted to be sure that we thank the Groton Rotary.
I'd just like to thank all the citizens and organizations that contribute to our funds. It's very generous. Seeing no other discussion, all those in favor of the accepting the special trust fund contribution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining, so moved unanimously, 7-0. All right, so now we're down to item C, deletions from the town council referral list. Counselor Atwater would like to keep Oddfellows Home of Connecticut an active referral. So that's 2017-0297. I would like to keep, oh no, that's a mistake. Take that back. Counselor Morosic?
I'd like to keep the 2016-0203 establishment of the ad hoc Public Safety Committee.
Okay. Morosic. Anyone else have anything that they would like to remain on our list?
There was, but I didn't bring my list.
Do you want to take a minute and take a quick look?
If I could.
Certainly.
I think we talked about keeping the Economic Development Commission annual report on.
Which number is that, please?
That would be 2018-0014.
That was for the presentation, and they already have
okay.
given us their
Okay.
presentation. That's why
Yeah,
it's there.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I believe that's it. So then we can move the rest of the deletions from the town council referral list. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to put out on that ad hoc Public Safety Committee, the reason that was on here is because you're proposing a permanent one through the rules.
Okay.
So that would no longer be an ad hoc one, it'd be a standing committee, so that's why that was going to,
Are you acceptable to have that one
Acceptable.
deleted?
it could always be deleted later if it was.
Thank you, Councilor Morosic. So then the only one that's going to remain, oh, Councilor Aubrey has something.
I think we should keep, I think it would be appropriate for the city highway budget FY 2017 to stay on, because we are going to be looking towards having somebody look at the expenses to analyze it for us, I believe.
But that's the prior year budget.
You're in 2019.
Okay, well, as long as we have it someplace else, so we don't forget about it.
Councilor Schmidt?
We can put these things back on if we find that a situation arises that we feel that it should be something that's reviewed by the council.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other discussion then, deletions from the town council referral list with the exception of Oddfellows. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, so moved unanimously. All set? Okay. All right, communications and reports, Roman numeral 7, and these are other than committee reports. So we will start with the town councilors. Councilor Morosic.
Yeah, I received a letter from the gentleman in Mystic, Mr.
Boyer?
Yeah, and his reference to the property that was transferred between from Merritt to the Merritt property from the Boulder Heights tract, and basically he is not in agreement with the transfer, and he indicated his concerns, and I think that it was a well-written letter. I'll pass it on to you. Okay. I think we ought to reconsider that issue. And I received another letter from Arch Bryant and Jean Bryant asking for a tract of land down in Noank so that they can build a garage. And I think that we talked about this, but I think we need to talk with the Noank Garden Group to see what their concerns are. We don't want to have any conflicts down there if we make an agreement or if we give this piece of property over. But I think the piece of property that he's talking about is not usable except to him. So there is merit for his request. And the other thing is I went to a seat meeting, a sale meeting, and the appointments committee meeting.
Thank you. Councilor Franco?
I attended the Economic Development Committee meeting, and Board of Ed went to numerous Board of Ed meetings. And health insurance is a major issue right now.
Councilor Heath?
I attended a Personnel Committee meeting, and I'll present the report shortly.
Thank you. Councilor Aubrey?
I also went to the EDC meeting, and they're going to continue on with a very aggressive program to try to talk to as many businesses as they can in town to find out what the businesses are finding are working for them, what their needs are, and trying to get more information together so that they can appropriately assist in the future. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I had several people talk to me about the different fire budgets that are being worked on this week. So I'm thinking it would be appropriate at this point to ask each fire department to come in and share their budget with us, tell us what their plans are, and so that we could know more about it. And the other thing that I'd like to have in the very near future is an update of the town and city working together on the Little League and what how that is moving forward.
So, Mr. Burt, will you take care of a referral on the fire districts?
Yes, I
Thank you
will.
very much.
Thank you.
Councilor Schmidt?
Yes, I attended the Legal Committee and the Personnel Committee yesterday, and also the Eastern Connecticut Tourism District meeting on February 1st. And there we decided that we would continue with our social media spots, Mystic Country Moments, and that we will focus on each one of the communities of 42 towns that comprise the Eastern Connecticut Tourism District. And I also got a call from Alice Foley on Park Road, and she's very disturbed about the way the town is plowing her street. Her driveway is constantly filled with the snow from the street and with how they dispose of the actual snow. And so she's very anxious to get a resolution on that. I don't know if that's something that we can do now or not with Gary Schneider, but that's it.
You have that too? Thank you. Councilor Zepari?
I attended the CCM workshop on municipal budgeting. I thought it was a superb program. They had handouts at the beginning of the program. We all picked up handouts, and I had about 45 minutes before the program started and managed to read through them and found that I understood the program before they presented it. So I went back and picked up 7 more. Mr. Atwater was there also, so I picked up 7 more and asked John to mail them out to you, and you should all have them. But if you look through that material, there are some excellent tips in it, and it may make our progress as we go through budgeting a bit easier if we all get the principles that they were trying to put forward.
Thank you for picking those up for us.
I've
Did you want to add something else?
I've got a question for Councilor Schmidt. Tourism, southeastern Connecticut, you were dealing with that?
That would be Eastern Connecticut, which includes Southeastern.
Okay, I was just wondering if there's if there was any talk of opening up the tourist welcome center on I-95.
That is really controlled by the state, and they are definitely not opening it. They are going to do away with the porta potties that they did have stationed at the welcome centers. Tourism visitors are not welcome in Connecticut.
That's sad.
It's very sad. We don't have a brochure, we don't have welcome centers, and we don't have adequate promotion of Connecticut.
Tourists are always welcome in Groton. Come to
Always,
Groton.
always. We're a friendly place.
I have communications from Councilor Parker that she asked me to share with you all, please. She attended several events, one with Councilors Obrey and Franco, which was the grand opening for the new Planet Fitness. She attended with Councilor Obrey a Martin Luther King Jr. Service at St. John's Christian Church. She also went to CCM training with Councilor Franco. She volunteered at Groton Senior Center Super Bowl with her daughter, and she attended a pancake breakfast at Sacred Heart School in honor of Scout Sunday, which I also attended. I met with the new CMEC rep, Mr. Kowalski, who was doing his meetings of all the municipalities in our area, and it was just to ask if we had concerns. Some of our citizens in Groton are Groton Utilities customers and some are Eversource customers. So he just wanted to get a general feel for you know, our view of the electric utilities and the service, and if we had any concerns, I have information where his contact information, so you can let me know and I could share that with you, or if anybody listening out there has concerns, you can either talk directly to Mr. Kowalski or bring your concerns to me. I attended a Little League meeting. We're brewing up a tournament, which will be wonderful. Hopefully we'll be able to announce details soon. A town hall with Representatives Dela Cruz and Conley. And I had two constituent concerns that were, one has been addressed promptly by Chief Fasaro and his staff. Cars double parked on one of the courts in Pequannock Ridge, and it was making snow plowing difficult, and it was making traffic for the other neighbors difficult, and the chief sent officers over and the cars were moved, so that was a good resolution. And another, which I'm hoping that, I've spoken to the manager about this, and perhaps he can convey the issue along. On Allen Street and Stony Hill, there's a bus stop for Northeast Academy. And the sidewalk there, which is fronting a state road, Allen Street to State Road, is not being plowed. And so the kids waiting for the bus have to stand in the street to get the bus. And they were very concerned about this. So it is not, the state never plows sidewalks. They don't shovel sidewalks. But perhaps we can find a resolution between the Board of Ed and Public Works in order to take care of this. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
There's a couple options we're looking at, so I'll get back with you. And I see, right when I was coming in, there was an email waiting for me concerning some options, and I haven't had a chance to read that yet, so I'd like to read that first.
Thank you very much. All right, I think that is it. So clerk of the representative town meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The RTM will be meeting on February 14th, if they have business, at 7:30 at the Senior Center. There is one vacancy, a Republican vacancy in District 4 that was due to the resignation from Susan Marquardt. She serves on the Zoning Commission, and she was elected in November to the RTM, and she desires to remain on the Zoning Commission, so she resigned as an RTM member. So the Republicans need to find a candidate.
Thank you. Clerk of the council.
I received the same communications you did from Mr. Voyer and Alice Foley. I've been working with for a couple of years, probably 8, for the same resolves issues with her neighbors, encroachment on the street, same issues that you have, and they're legitimate. And I know that the town has been working with her. I know that Public Works has tried to fix things in the past. So I don't know what you can do. Then that's really, other than my office is been reorganized physically inside of land records. There's much more room. It's much more accessible for anyone that's handicapped. I've installed it's desks that we had, but they were not being utilized, and I moved them in and set up for computers as soon as I can get access denied for internet stuff that then people aren't supposed to get into. It'll be up and running for folks that need to sit.
Very good, thank you.
Otherwise, they have to stand.
Town manager.
Good evening. I also received the request on the piece of property over in Nowink for the garage. I agree that we need to approach the Nowink Gardens there. I just wanted to see if people are generally open to the idea, because it'll be a lengthy process. You'd have a appraisal, a survey, a public hearing, and I did make the owner of that neighboring property aware that they would also have to go through Nowink zoning on it. But generally, do they want me to pursue looking at this and then come back with you later with it?
Is there any objection to looking into this further?
Okay. And then I also received a letter yesterday from the Bill Memorial Library throwing out the idea of a property swap between our property at the Groton Heights School and then the library school. I put a copy at each of your spots. I'm not looking for any discussion on this at this point, just an FYI. Planning department staff and I are going out there Friday afternoon to take a look, and we have to think about with the RFP for this property how that would affect things. So just an FYI at this point, not looking for any discussion currently. And then the Parks and Rec are doing a survey to just glean different ideas for the community center for a name. So they're just going to try to get a bunch of names and maybe present some to the council for discussion to name the community center, so it doesn't continue just to say Fitch Middle School. So that's forthcoming.
Finally.
And then the other thing is, do you want me to address the merit?
Certainly, thank you.
And I didn't directly receive that letter concerning merit, but it was forwarded to me. I did some research and then spoke with our attorneys. And the long and short of it is there was a public hearing. However, it was not noticed properly. My recommendation is to do another public hearing to make sure. I talked to the state, it doesn't really affect anything, but I want to make sure everything's above board and that we do it the correct way. So I've prepared some motions for you to consider later. So I do believe we should do it, though.
Those motions on the agenda.
It'll be added to it. It just came up right for this meeting. I just was wrapping up with the attorney about 5 after 6.
And that, just briefly for the public, we received a letter with concern expressed regarding the swap between the Boulder property and the Merritt property.
Right.
And the concern was that there was not a proper public hearing. And so we investigated, as we do when concerns are brought to our attention. And as Mr. Burgess stated, he just received word this evening that we should go back in and have a public hearing. So we'll be scheduling one, not for the purpose of changing a vote, but as the manager said, just to clean everything up and make sure everything is done properly. Okay,
That's
great.
all I have.
I'm sorry?
And that's all I have.
And that's all I got. Thank you. And there are no departments hit here. I believe the chief is not here anymore. So committee reports. Roman numeral 8, personnel and appointments. Chairman Heed.
Would you like me to read through the appointments that we voted on yesterday?
Yes, please.
Right. Okay. So we had a special meeting for the Town Council personnel and appointments, and we approved, is that the right one? Yes, it is. So we made some reappointments and at least one new appointment. So Scott Russo was moved to be reappointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Barbara Block was moved to be reappointed to the Wetlands Agency. Hallie Keeler was appointed to the Library Board. Susan Marquardt was reappointed to Zoning Board of Appeals. Barbara Tarbox was appointed as a regular member to the Planning Commission. Previously, she was an alternate. Eunice Sutpin was reappointed to Inland Wetland Agencies, and Barbara Williams was reappointed also to Inland Wetlands Agency. Then we made an appointment for Paul Bates and Francis Crowley or reappointment rather, to Harbor Management. Edward Eckelmeyer to Water Pollution Control Authority. James Mitchell was also reappointed to the Board of Assessment Appeals. And A. Neil Brown was reappointed to Shellfish Commission. Let's see. Then we also made a motion to move these appointments, and to the boards and commissions, and the appointments that we made to miscellaneous ad hoc committees at our January 2nd meeting to the town council, so that they can be voted on at our next town council meeting. So then I can go through the ad hoc appointments if you want me to.
They're going to be listed in your next agenda.
They'll be listed, right? We have actually 2 additional appointments that we'll need to make, but 2 more additional volunteers, exactly. But it was very interesting to meet all of these individuals who are serving on our boards and commissions. A lot of them, well, every one of them brings a lot of experience and interest and excitement, I think, to what they do. And we really appreciated their taking the time to come out and talk to us last night. It's really insightful and interesting. So that was all. Oh, one final thing. I thought it was interesting that we have our appointments meeting on the night of the town council, and then normally, like would normally be tonight at 5:30, and then I would come and make a report to you, and then it would be on the next town council meeting. It seemed to me that it might be a good idea to move it to in between maybe the third Tuesday of the month when we don't have a town council or a cow meeting, and then it would flow right into the next town council meeting after that, so it might speed up the process of appointments.
Sounds logical.
And I don't know if we need to make a motion or just a request for that.
I think just a request would suffice.
All right,
If it's
let's make
agreeable
a
to all the
request.
members of the committee, correct? Thank you. Temporary rules and procedures. Anything?
We need to schedule another meeting to refine the rules and procedures.
Thank you. And committee of the whole, we're good? Okay. Will be another committee of the whole, but we're going to move on to number 9, new business. Is there a motion for 2016-0090? Oh, we have to have this read. Councilor Moravsik.
2016-0090, City Highway Budget, Fiscal Year 2017. Resolution authorizing the release of funds to the City of Groton, whereas the FYE 2017 Town of Groton adopted a budget included a $738,501 appropriation for the City Highway Maintenance pending arbitration number 10905, and whereas the City Highway FYE 2017 budget ending June 30th, 2017 reflects an unexpended balance of $141,855, and whereas the City of Groton has requested the release of $596,646, which is the $738,501 less unexpended balance of $141,855. Now therefore be it resolved that this town council authorizes the release of $596,646 to the City of Groton for the funds appropriated in FYE 2017 budget for the City Highway Maintenance pending arbitration. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Moravsik and seconded by Schmidt. Discussion. Councilor Moravsik.
Although I read the resolution, I think we should hold off on this until we get the results from the consultant that was hired between the city and the town, because we don't know what their results will be. We're making the assumption that everything is fine and we'll just hand over the money. But I was on the original highway task force, and there was a concern between the town and the city on certain items, and that's why this money was held up. And I think we should give it to the city, but after we hear from the consultant, because months ago, or I think it was in 2016, they hired a consultant, or they just hired the engineering firm.
Thank you, Mr. Bird. I was going to ask you to address this.
Yeah, the committee has picked out the preferred vendor. Now it's negotiating the contract, and there would be a budget amendment needed, so it has to come to the council still. But, so, we're still in process.
Okay, so while we're still in process, we should just put this on hold until we hear from that. That's my recommendation on that.
Representative, or Councilor Schmidt, I apologize.
They are not requesting a full amount, and I think that it's really unfair to withhold this indefinitely because they have already spent that funding. And I think it would be a definite hardship for the city to have to continue without having any kind of reimbursement for this because they have not included it in their taxing. So I think we should release this.
Councilor Zepari.
No, I'm agreeing with Rita. That's all. I was not in my head yet.
Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Heaton.
I do think we need to get the town and the city on the same page, and I'm looking forward to having this whole issue resolved. But to Councilor Schmidt's point of view, the money has already been spent. It's less than the original request, and I think it's the right thing to do. I can speak as a town resident who lives in the city that I've already been taxed for this money, so it seems a little unfair to me to withhold it for without any particular purpose.
Councilor Zepari.
If I may, I just point out that in our packet or in our communication, we have a letter from Mayor Hedrick that's dated last June This has already been held in abeyance for a long time. I don't want to kick the can down the road anymore. I'd like to get it done.
And I'm encouraged that we have been having regular meetings with Mr. Burt being the representative of the town, with Mayor Hedrick. They've been meeting on a regular basis. So to me, that's a good sign. And they have agreed, as Mr. Burt said, they've agreed on a vendor, they interviewed together, they selected the vendor, and they're now working out the details on moving this forward. But I do think we need to go forward with this as good faith, and because the money has been spent, and we have an obligation to honor. Councilor Aubrey?
Well, I think we all have little thoughts about this, but if my understanding was correct, the arbitration was done to answer the question of should this money go to the city or should it not go to the city? And the arbitrator twice ruled in favor of the city. So because of that, I feel that we should release the money, but I feel very, very, very strongly that this group that's being hired, whoever it may be, to review this information, that must go forward in order to concrete how we go in the future. But because the arbitration, which took a very long time, did rule in their favor, I think it would be inappropriate to hold it up. I can appreciate what you're saying, and I think it's good that it's said, but I think we have to go forward.
And I'd just like to add, we have a joint city council, town council meeting scheduled for, I believe, the 20th of February?
Yes.
20th of February. And we hope to make this a quarterly meeting, rather than just come here and talk to us at budget time, just to keep communications open and to work together, for example, on economic development, which we're looking forward to doing. Councilor Franco?
So this group that we're having to analyze this, it says the entire process is probably going to take 6 months. So the next budget season, this won't be in there. The recommendation will not make for the next budget.
Probably not.
Okay.
Councilor Zepari?
Move the question.
Is there a second to moving the question?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of moving the question, say aye.
Aye.
Could you raise your hand, please? So opposed? Abstaining. So 5 in favor of moving the question to opposed. Aubrey and Granatowski were opposed. So we will vote on 2016-0090 City Highway Budget FYE 2017. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 1. Abstaining? None. So Councilor Moravsik was opposed. All right, Representative, or Councilor Franco, 2017-0094, please. Vergennes Court.
Vergennes Court, resolution authorizing the town manager to sign a letter to the Department of Transportation to formally close out the Vergennes Court project. Whereas the town had applied through the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments for a grant to reduce traffic accidents on local roads, and whereas the town was notified of the award of the grant will be applied to a project to close the intersection of Vergennes Court with Route 1, and whereas the project would have created a cul-de-sac at the intersection of Route 1, eliminating the vehicle connection with Route 1, and whereas the Public Works Department held a public information meeting on March 22nd, 2017 at the Groton Senior Center, 102 Newtown Road, Route 117, where over 50 residents attended to voice their opinion to the project to dead-end Vergennes Court and Route 1, and whereas the Town Council did request the department to look into additional street lighting, traffic markings, and crosswalk signage in the area, and whereas the department reported back to the council on January 9th, 2018, additional street lighting. Each pole has a street light on it. Traffic markings. The state has this fall refreshed the markings in the area. Install crosswalk signage. There is existing signage in both directions. And whereas there was no other visible alternatives that can be accomplished with this grant now, therefore be it resolved that the town council directs the town manager to forward a letter to the Department of Transportation to formally close out the project. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Franco, seconded by Heed. They both said
They
it, I
both
heard.
said it.
Yeah, they both said it
Doesn't
simultaneously.
matter, whoever.
He did, Marosik. Is there any discussion? And again, for those out there watching, this is the town council meeting. The town council committee of the whole meeting is when the work is done. So we have gone round and discussed this in great detail at the COW, at the committee of the whole, the COW. So it's not like we're just rubber stamping these things. If you need to go look at it, you can go in and look at the minutes from the COW. All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor of 2017-0094 say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? That passed unanimously. So we are on to 2017-0299, Liberty Bank Grant. Councilor Heed?
I'll make a motion for 2017-0299 Liberty Grant Bank, resolution authorizing an agreement with Liberty Bank for the grant for foundation and personal finance complete guide to money, a financial wellness program, whereas the Groton Senior Center would like to apply for grants in the amount of $3,500 from Liberty Bank Foundation, and whereas the funds would be used to offer financial peace complete guide to money program through the purchase of the turnkey curriculum that teaches students the value of saving, spending, and giving to guide to the path of financial literacy. And whereas the Groton Senior Center and Liberty Bank encourage education for people to take control of their finances, now therefore be it resolved that town manager John Burt or his designee is authorized to apply for the Liberty Bank Foundation grant in the amount of $3,500 to support the program at the Groton Senior Center. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Heed, seconded by Marosik. Any discussion on this? And again, we had discussion in COW. Seeing no discussion, we'll vote on 2017-0299. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. 2017-0303, FYE 2017 CAFR. Councilor Overy, would you read that, please?
Resolution accepting the FYE 2017 audit report. Whereas the Town Council has considered the annual audit of the Town of Groton finances covering the fiscal year from July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. And whereas the council has discussed the audit findings with the manager of the audit team from the firm Blum Shapiro, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Groton accepts and files the FYE 2017 comprehensive annual finance report, the auditor's report and management letter. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Overy, seconded by Heed. Any discussion on the resolution accepting the CAFR? Yes, Madam Clerk.
This information is on our website
Thank you.
and in the clerk's office.
Thank you very much.
And I think she mentioned towards the end, the summary was probably the best part to read, not the whole thing.
Well, you can read the whole thing.
Yeah, you can.
All right, all those in favor of 2017-0303 say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. 2018-0013, excuse me, tax increment financing policy presentation. Councilor Schmidt, would you read that, please?
Certainly. This is a resolution setting a public hearing on a tax increment financing policy. Resolved that the Town Council will hold a public hearing on a tax increment financing, a TIF policy, on Tuesday, February 27th, 2018, at 6 p.m. in Town Hall Annex, Community Room 1. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Schmidt, seconded by Heed. By Marosik, sorry. Any discussion on tax increment financing policy presentation? All we're doing here is setting the public hearing date. All those in favor of setting the public hearing date, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? So moved unanimously. We are on to 2018-0017 Nautilus dock funding. Councilor Zepari, could you read that, please?
Resolution to endorse the CTPA assistance agreement and issue a letter of offer of grant funds to Submarine Base New London for the construction of a floating dock. Whereas the State of Connecticut Port Authority recently approved the town's Small Harbor Improvements Project Program grant application to build a floating dock attached to the Nautilus Pier. And whereas the State Bond Commission approved the funding, and whereas the Connecticut Port Authority requires execution of an assistance agreement to transfer $730,000 grant funds to the town, and whereas the design and construction of the appropriate public dock facilities attached to the existing USS Nautilus mooring pier would permit water taxi service at that location, and whereas water taxi service would allow the Submarine Force Library and Museum to serve as a key component of the Thames River Heritage Park, increasing visitation and visibility of the museum, and whereas the Navy is willing to accept a gift of the grant funds to be used for the design and construction of the floating dock upon receipt of a letter of offer, now therefore be it resolved. The Town Council hereby endorses the acceptance of the Connecticut Port Authority grant funding and gifting of the funds to Subbasin London for the design and construction of the floating dock. So moved.
Is there a second? Seconded by Schmidt. Any discussion on the Nautilus dock funding grant?
I think it's fantastic.
Excellent. Seeing no discussion aside from the endorsement, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. We are on to 2018-0018, and we're back to Councilor Moravsik for Board of Education, Groton Schools, Custodian and Maintenance Association Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Groton Board of Education and Groton School Custodian and Maintenance Association Collective Bargaining Agreement, whereas the Groton Board of Education and the Groton School Custodian and Maintenance Association reached a tentative agreement on the successor collective bargaining agreement for the period July 1, 2017 through July 30th, 2020, and whereas the Groton Board of Education does not have an exclusive authority over the town's pension plan and does not have the authority to bargain over and or approve modifications to the terms and conditions of the pensions plan, and whereas the ultimate authority to approve changes to the town's pension plan rests with the town, and whereas the parties have reached specific tentative agreements on subsections I-6 of Article 4, Section Appointment and Layoffs, which are cost neutral, and whereas approval of the tentative agreements on Section I-6 of Article 4, Selection, Appointments, and Layoffs are recommended by the town's negotiators, therefore be it resolved that the Town Council hereby approves the parties' tentative agreement on Section I-6 of Article 4, Section Appointments and Layoffs. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Moravsik and seconded by Aubrey. Any further discussion beyond what we did in the Committee of the Whole? Yes, Councilor Perry.
The only thing I would observe on this section of the agreement is that it authorizes someone who has more seniority to displace someone who has less seniority when when that position is dissolved, when it's removed. And the thing I'm concerned with, it bases the retention of personnel working for the town on seniority in the number of years they've moved, not on their value to the town in the type of work that they've been doing historically. And I'm concerned about that approach to labor relations. I know it's already been approved by our negotiators. It's hard to go back on that since our negotiators have approved that. So I'm not asking the council to turn this motion away. What I'm asking the council to do is to advise our negotiators in the future that we would be more interested in merit retention of employees than in retention of people simply by the number of months or days or hours that they've worked in the position.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on 2018-0018. Collective bargaining agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. On to 2018-0019, agreement with the University of Connecticut for Undersea Supply Chain Consortium. Councilor Franco?
Resolution authorizing formal agreement with the University of Connecticut regarding Undersea Supply Chain Consortium grant funding. Whereas the town of Groton has supported and participated in the Thames River Innovation Place trip, innovative with numerous parties, including but not limited to the City of Groton, City of New London, and numerous nonprofit and private entities. And whereas the trip's targeted efforts achieved grant funding for planning and for project implementation from Connecticut Next Innovation Places, totaling nearly $1 million to grow the region and attract the talent high-growth enterprises need. And whereas the town staff serves on the trip board and is the project leader for the Undersea Supply Chain Consortium project involving direct coordination with the University of Connecticut School of Engineering regarding the consortium's implementation. And whereas the consortium's project received state grant funding through the trip that is slated to flow through the town of Groton to Yukon for implementation at the Yukon Avery Point campus, including hiring of Yukon staff for the project. And whereas the legal agreement has been developed by Groton legal staff and reviewed by Yukon, establishing a relationship for grant funding to be received by Groton and then relocated to Yukon for such consortium project-related activities. And whereas approval for this agreement will allow grant funds to be distributed in a timely manner for consortium project implementation, which will lead to the subsequent state funding for TRIP, and now therefore be it resolved that the town council hereby approves the proposed agreement between the town of Groton and Yukon involving the state of Connecticut Next Innovation Grant Funds for the Undersea Supply Chain Consortium project. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Franco, seconded by Aubrey. Any discussion on this item?
This is another one that was discussed fairly fully at a committee of the whole meeting, and I think we know our opinions.
Correct. All those in favor of 2018-0019, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining. So moved unanimously. All right, so at this point, could you read this, please?
I make a motion to suspend the rules. I hereby move pursuant to Town Council Rules Section 7B to suspend the council's rules and allow the council to reconsider item 2016-0256 for the Merritt property conversion. I so move.
Is there a second to suspend the rules?
Second.
So moved by Heed, seconded by Franco. So the first thing we need to do is we need to vote to suspend the rules. So all those in favor of suspending the rules to consider the Merritt property conversion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So moved unanimously. So rules are suspended. So if you could please read this.
Okay. Motion to reconsider. I hereby move to reconsider the vote on 2016-0256 from November 1st, 2016 for the Merritt property conversion in order to conduct a public hearing required by the statute. I so move. Second.
Moved by Aubrey, seconded by, you guys are just fighting over the seconds. Moravsik, seconded by Moravsik. Okay. So, is there discussion on the motion to reconsider? Councilor Aubrey?
Well, I'm very happy this is happening because I felt that when we voted, we really did not have a comfort level with what we were voting on. We had not really had a good representation of the property, the uses of the property, and et cetera. So I'm very happy that this is coming back up. I agree.
Councilor Zepari?
I think this stems from the letter that we all received from Mr. Boyer, and he was right on in the statutes that he cited. And we are obligated by statute, as he said, to have a hearing. I understand that there was a hearing sometime in the past, but it wasn't adequately noticed. And so I think this is the appropriate thing to do.
Would you like to address what the town attorney said in regard to this?
Just what I mentioned earlier, that we did have a public hearing, but was not properly noticed. And there's no, this doesn't, us going through the proper process doesn't really halt anything at the state level, so it shouldn't put the project behind schedule. So I'm all for holding the public hearing. And that is the recommendation of the council, the town attorney.
Do we have a date for that?
There'll be another, there's another
That's next.
resolution.
So so the process is we needed to suspend the rules, and now we're going to be voting on whether we want to reconsider this or not, and then we will vote on a public hearing date. But this was from November 1st of 2016 when the vote was taken. So if there's no discussion, we'll vote on the reconsideration. All those in favor of reconsidering the vote 2016-0256, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, so that passed unanimously. Go back to you. So now, could you read that, please, Councilor? Sure.
Resolved that the town council will hold a public hearing per statute 7-131N for the conversion of the Merritt property to a non-park or open space use on Tuesday, February 27, 2017, at a meeting beginning at 6 p.m. immediately following the public hearing on a proposed TIF policy, and to direct the town clerk to public the notice thereof. I so move.
Second.
Thank you. May I? I have to give these to the clerk. One moment, please. Moved by Heed, seconded by Moravsik. Yes, Mr. Manager.
I was gonna criticize myself. I did that at the last minute. I don't like having just TIF in there. It should say tax increment finance if I didn't put that in there. It should be spelled out.
All right. Madam Clerk, can I just make the notation on the resolution I'm going to give you, or do we need to have it read again?
Well, when you make the motion to adopt, you're
Just read
adopting
it.
with amendments.
Okay, thank you.
Was that here or the senior center?
It's just clerical amendments, it's not changing the structure. And that knows to.
Thank you. That will be here at the annex in this chamber. Is there any discussion about setting the public hearing?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Is there going to be a presentation on the Boulder Court Merritt property? That's the one.
I'll invite planning department to come make a presentation.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. And Chairperson Watson from the Board of Education is here. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just really appreciate your phone call and having me here tonight.
Thank you for coming out. If there is no discussion, then we will vote on the resolution setting the public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, so that passed unanimously. And I will give all these to you at the end of the meeting, Madam Clerk. We're gathering a nice little stack for you of all the paper we need. Okay, so we have one more motion to suspend the rules. Would you like to read this one?
Sure.
Thank you.
Motion to suspend rules. I hereby move proceeding to Town Council Rules Section 7B to suspend the council rules and allow the council to consider an executive session with the town manager to discuss employee performance without previous action by the committee of the whole. I so move.
There's a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Moved by Aubrey, seconded by Franco. So again, this is just the motion to suspend the rules so that we can move the other item. Are we all in agreement to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Any opposition? So moved unanimously. Now, would you like to? So now we need to make a motion to go into executive session in order to discuss this because it's personnel
Motion
matters.
for executive session. I hereby move that the members of the Town Council Committee of the Whole and the Town Manager, John Burritt, go into executive session pursuant to the General Statute Section 1-2006A concerning the appointment, employment, performance evaluation, health, or dismissal of a public officer or employee in regards to the town manager.
Is
I
there a
so
second?
move.
Moved by Overy, seconded by Heath.
Second.
All those in favor of going into executive session to discuss personnel matters, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Moved unanimously. So we are in executive session.